You're safe here, Emily.
Thank you, Marcus. I think I know that now.
You need to see this, Emily.
What is this? No, this can't be real.
I've got you. Stay low. It's all right. We're safe now. Oh, God. Just breathe. You're okay.
Marcus DeLuca had spent 20 years building an empire that survived bullets, betrayals, and federal investigations. 5 minutes ago, he had signed the order that would make another man disappear before sunrise. Around him, no one questioned it. No one even blinked. In Marcus's world, mercy was considered a weakness, and weakness usually ended in a funeral. As his convoy rolled through the rain-soaked streets, his attention remained fixed on the city outside the tinted window. Every block belonged to someone. Every face could be bought. Every promise had a price. Then the lead SUV slowed. His driver glanced into the rearview mirror. "Boss!" Marcus looked up. A young woman sat alone beneath a flickering bus stop light. Rain had soaked her clothes completely. A torn suitcase rested beside her, its contents spilling onto the sidewalk. Cars passed without stopping. No one even looked at her. "Keep driving," Marcus said. The convoy moved forward. 10 seconds later, "Stop!" Every vehicle braked at once. The bodyguards exchanged confused looks. Marcus almost never changed his mind. Without saying another word, he stepped out into the rain. The woman looked up as expensive leather shoes stopped inches from her suitcase. She quickly gathered the scattered photographs and folded documents with shaking hands, trying not to meet his eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'll move." Marcus didn't answer. Instead, he noticed the eviction notice lying half-submerged in a puddle. Beside it was a hospital bill and a family photograph with one face carefully torn away. "You've been sitting here a long time," he finally said. She nodded without looking up. "There isn't anywhere else to go." Most people begged him for money. Others begged him for forgiveness. This woman asked for nothing. For reasons he couldn't explain, that bothered him more than either. One of his security men stepped closer. "Boss, we're late." Marcus ignored him. "What happened?" She hesitated. "My landlord changed the locks." "And your family?" She forced a smile that looked more painful than crying. "I don't have one anymore." Marcus studied her for several silent seconds. Everything about her told him she was exhausted, but not broken. Most people looked defeated. She looked abandoned. He reached into his coat. The woman instinctively stepped backward, expecting a weapon. Instead, he held out a small key card. "My guest house." She stared at it without moving. "I can't accept that." "I wasn't asking." Her heartbeat seemed louder than the rain. She had spent the last 12 hours trying to escape one disaster. Now one of the most feared men in the city was offering her shelter. Every instinct told her to run. Every other option meant spending the night on the street. Marcus turned back toward the waiting convoy. "You have 30 seconds. He climbed into the SUV without looking back. The door remained open. She looked at the rain. She looked at the empty street. Then she looked at the open door. The moment she stepped inside, neither of their lives would ever be the same. Marcus closed the SUV door without saying another word. The convoy pulled away from the empty bus stop, swallowing the silence between them. The woman sat perfectly still, afraid even to lean against the leather seat. Rainwater dripped from her sleeves onto the floor mat. "I'm ruining your car," she said quietly. Marcus never looked up from the tablet resting in his hands. "It's just a car." She lowered her eyes. People who own cars like this never called them just a car. Neither of them spoke again for nearly a minute. The silence became heavier than the storm outside. Finally, Marcus closed the tablet. "Your name?" "Emily." "Last name?" "Turner." "How old?" 26. "You have identification?" She nodded. "In my bag." "And no place to sleep?" "No. No friends." She shook her head. They stopped answering. "Family." She hesitated longer this time. "My mother passed away 2 years ago." "And your father?" "I don't know where he is." Marcus studied her face carefully. She answered every question without asking for sympathy. That interested him. Most people exaggerated their suffering. She reduced hers. His phone vibrated. One glance at the screen was enough. "The warehouse has been handled," the message read. Another problem solved. Another name erased. He locked the phone and slipped it back into his pocket as if nothing had happened. Emily noticed the change in his expression. She didn't ask. She wasn't sure she wanted to know. The SUV turned through a pair of massive iron gates. Beyond them stood an estate that looked more like a private fortress than a home. Security cameras followed every movement. Armed guards stood beneath covered entrances despite the rain. The gates closed behind them with a heavy metallic sound. Emily felt something tighten in her chest. Leaving suddenly didn't seem possible anymore. The vehicle stopped beneath a covered entrance. A line of staff members appeared almost instantly. Umbrellas opened. Doors were pulled apart. Everyone seemed to know exactly what to do. Everyone, except Emily. She remained frozen inside the SUV. Marcus stepped out first. Halfway to the entrance, he realized she wasn't following. He looked back. "What are you waiting for?" "I don't belong here." "No," he answered without hesitation. "You don't." Emily felt her stomach sink. Marcus continued walking. "But tonight, you're not sleeping outside." She stepped out carefully, clutching her damaged suitcase against her chest. The employees exchanged brief, confused glances. None of them dared ask questions. Marcus stopped beside an older woman dressed in a dark uniform. "Prepare the East guest suite." The woman's eyes widened ever so slightly. "Sir, that wing is reserved for. I know who it's reserved for." "Yes, sir." She immediately changed direction. Emily noticed something. Nobody argued with Marcus. Nobody even finished their sentences. Fear wasn't hidden inside this house. It was routine. As they entered the enormous marble foyer, Emily couldn't stop staring. Everything looked perfect. Everything also felt cold. Not a single family photograph decorated the walls. No laughter echoed through the halls. No warmth lived inside the building. It wasn't a home. It was a kingdom built on discipline. Marcus finally turned toward her again. "You'll have food. You'll have a room. You'll leave whenever you want." Emily exhaled in relief. Then he added one final sentence. "But before you leave, I need to know why someone threw you away." For the first time that night, Emily realized Marcus hadn't rescued her because he felt sorry for her. He was investigating her. Emily didn't sleep. The room was warmer than anywhere she had lived in years, but comfort only made the silence louder. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the untouched dinner tray. The clothes laid out for her looked expensive enough to cost more than everything she owned. None of it made sense. Men like Marcus DeLuca didn't rescue strangers, not without wanting something in return. A soft knock broke the silence. Before she could answer, the door opened. An older woman entered carrying a folded envelope. "Mr. DeLuca would like to see you." Emily's heartbeat quickened. She followed the woman through long, silent hallways until they stopped outside a pair of heavy wooden doors. "They're expecting you." The woman walked away. Emily stood alone. For several seconds, she couldn't bring herself to knock. Finally, "Come in." Marcus was standing beside a floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the estate. He didn't turn around. "You didn't eat." "I wasn't hungry." "That's a lie." Emily stayed silent. Marcus finally faced her. "You don't trust me. I don't even know you." A smart answer. He walked toward his desk and picked up a thin black folder. "I asked someone to look into your situation." Emily frowned. "What?" He opened the folder. "Your landlord didn't remove you because you missed rent." Her face went pale. "He was paid." Emily stared at him. "Paid by who?" Marcus flipped another page. 3 weeks ago, someone opened 2 business loans using your identity. I never applied for any loans." "I know. They've already defaulted." Emily felt the room begin to spin. "No." Marcus continued, reading calmly. "The money disappeared 48 hours after approval. I didn't take it." "I know. My bank was frozen yesterday." Marcus nodded. "Your apartment was never the real target." He placed a folder on the desk between them. "You were." Emily slowly opened it. Inside were copies of loan agreements, bank transfers, identity documents. Everything carried her name. None of it belonged to her. Tears blurred the pages. "I don't understand." Marcus watched her carefully. "You trusted someone." She looked down. Didn't answer. "You don't have to protect them anymore." A long silence followed. Finally, "My fiancé." Her voice almost disappeared. "He handled all our paperwork. He said he was helping me bill my credit." Marcus wasn't surprised. "He vanished." Emily nodded. 3 weeks ago, and left everything behind. Another nod. Marcus closed the folder. The people looking for that money don't care who signed the papers. They only care who they can collect from. Emily gripped the edge of the desk. So they'll keep coming. Yes. I don't even have that kind of money. I know. She looked up at him. For the first time since yesterday, she wasn't afraid of Marcus. She was afraid of whoever was coming next. Marcus pressed a button on his desk. A man entered immediately. Find Daniel Brooks. The man nodded once. And when you find him, Marcus paused. Bring him to me. The room fell completely silent. Emily's eyes widened. You can't do that. Marcus looked directly at her. They already chose violence when they chose you. You don't solve people like them with phone calls. He walked toward the door. Without looking back, he said one sentence that made Emily's blood run cold. By tomorrow, either your nightmare ends, or his does. Marcus didn't wait for her answer. He left the study as calmly as if they had discussed tomorrow's weather instead of another man's fate. Emily remained frozen beside the desk. The folder was still open. Every page proved the same thing. Someone she had loved hadn't just abandoned her. He had built an entire disaster using her name. The older housekeeper returned a few minutes later. Miss Turner. Emily looked up. Mr. DeLuca has arranged breakfast. I'm not hungry. The woman offered a sympathetic smile. No one is on their first day. Emily followed her anyway. The dining room was enormous. A table meant for 20 people held breakfast for only one. Fresh fruit, coffee, warm bread, everything prepared perfectly. Everything untouched. Marcus entered several minutes later, already dressed in a charcoal suit. He glanced at the empty plate. You should eat. I can't. You'll need your strength. Emily looked at him. For what? Marcus poured himself coffee. For today. What happens today? I find out who stole your future. His phone vibrated. He answered immediately. Report. The voice on the other end spoke for nearly 30 seconds. Marcus never interrupted. When the call ended, he placed the phone on the table. We found him. Emily's breathing stopped. So quickly. He wasn't hiding. She stared at Marcus. Where is he? Marcus looked directly into her eyes. With another woman. Emily felt every ounce of hope disappear. He spent your money. He opened businesses under your identity. And he's planning to leave the country tonight. She gripped the edge of the chair to steady herself. I need to talk to him. Marcus shook his head. No, I deserve answers. You deserve the truth. That's not the same thing. Emily stood. This isn't your decision. Marcus slowly placed his coffee cup down. It became my decision the moment someone used a woman under my protection as leverage. The room fell silent. Emily frowned. Under your protection? You stayed in my house. That makes you my responsibility. I never asked for that. No, you didn't. Another long silence settled between them. Finally, Emily spoke. What are you going to do to him? Marcus didn't answer immediately. Instead, he asked a different question. If someone destroyed everything you've worked for, what would you do? Emily looked away. I don't know. I'd ask why. Marcus nodded once. I used to ask why. And I stopped. Why? Because guilty people almost never tell the truth. Before Emily could respond, another man entered the dining room. Tall, broad shoulders, expressionless. He stopped beside Marcus. Boss. Marcus looked up. Talk. We have Daniel. Emily's heart pounded. He wants to negotiate. Marcus almost smiled. They always do. The bodyguard hesitated. There's one more thing. He wasn't alone. Marcus's expression hardened. Who? The bodyguard slid a photograph across the table. Marcus looked down. For the first time that morning, his face changed. Emily couldn't see the picture, but whatever Marcus had just seen made even him reconsider his next move. Marcus studied the photograph for several long seconds. Then he slid it across the table toward Emily. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. Daniel stood beside a luxury SUV, smiling. Wrapped around his arm was a woman Emily had known for almost 8 years. Rachel, her closest friend, the woman who had helped her pack boxes after the eviction, the woman who cried with her, the woman who promised everything would be okay. Emily couldn't breathe. No. She whispered it more to herself than anyone else. She wouldn't. Marcus remained silent. Emily kept staring at the photograph. Another picture. Rachel entering the same bank Daniel had visited. Another. Rachel signing documents. Another. Rachel leaving a downtown office, carrying the exact folder Emily remembered losing months earlier. Every image shattered another memory. Every photograph rewrote another piece of her past. Marcus finally spoke. Your identity wasn't stolen by one person. Emily slowly lowered the photographs. It was planned. She felt sick. Rachel knew every password, every birthday, every security question. She even knew where Emily kept important documents. Tears burned her eyes. I invited her into my apartment. Marcus nodded once. That's usually how betrayal works. Silence settled over the room. Not awkward. Heavy. Emily laughed once. A broken sound. I kept asking myself what I did wrong. She looked down at the photographs. I trusted the wrong people. Marcus watched her carefully. No. She looked up. You trusted the people who asked for it. Before Emily could answer, Marcus's phone rang again. He answered immediately. What? The voice on the other end spoke rapidly. Marcus's expression became colder with every second. When? Another pause. Don't move. He ended the call. Emily immediately knew something had changed. What happened? Marcus stood. They're moving him. Daniel. Yes. Where? We don't know yet. You said you had him. We did. Emily stared at him. What do you mean? Marcus buttoned his suit jacket. Someone reached him first. The bodyguard stepped closer. Our men intercepted a transmission. Marcus looked toward him. Read it. The bodyguard unfolded a small sheet of paper. If the woman talks, neither of them leaves the city alive. Emily felt every muscle in her body freeze. The woman. Marcus looked directly at her. Is you. For the first time since entering the estate. Emily understood she was never just a victim. She was the only witness who could destroy an operation worth millions. Marcus picked up his car keys. You stay here. Emily stood immediately. No, this isn't negotiable. It is if people are trying to kill me. Marcus stopped walking. She continued before he could interrupt. I know Daniel. I know Rachel. If they're running, I know exactly where they'll go. The room fell silent. Marcus studied her face. He wasn't looking for courage. He was looking for certainty. After several seconds, he nodded once. Get your coat. Emily blinked. You're taking me? I'm taking you because, for the first time today, you're useful. Neither of them realized that before the day was over, one of them would be forced to choose between revenge and the truth. The convoy left the estate just after noon. 3 black SUVs moved through the city without drawing attention, each keeping the same precise distance from the next. Emily sat beside Marcus in complete silence. She had memorized the route before she even realized she was doing it. Take the next exit, she said quietly. Marcus looked at her. I didn't tell you where we were going. You didn't have to. She pointed ahead. Daniel always used this road whenever he wanted to disappear for a few hours. Marcus nodded toward the driver. Take the exit. The SUV changed lanes. Emily's stomach tightened. Everything around her felt painfully familiar. The old coffee shop, the gas station where Daniel always stopped, the abandoned train tracks. Every landmark reminded her that the man she once planned to marry had been lying to her long before she discovered the fraud. 10 minutes later, the convoy slowed outside an aging waterfront warehouse. The building looked abandoned. Broken windows, rusted loading doors, not a single security camera. Emily frowned. He hates places like this. Marcus didn't answer. Instead, he watched the building. Too quiet. No workers. No trucks. No movement. His instincts told him something was wrong. Noah leaned toward Marcus. Thermal. Marcus nodded. A guard handed over a tablet connected to a drone already circling above the warehouse. Marcus studied the thermal image. One heat signature, then another, then 6 more. His expression hardened. This isn't a meeting. Emily looked at the screen. What is it? A trap. Before anyone could react, a deafening explosion shattered the silence. The lead SUV lifted off the pavement as flames erupted beneath it. The blast wave slammed into Marcus's vehicle. Glass cracked. Smoke swallowed the road. Emily screamed as the SUV spun sideways before crashing against a concrete barrier. Airbags exploded from the dashboard. For several seconds, no one moved. Marcus tore the airbag away. Status. I'm good. Noah answered over the radio. Rear vehicle? Taking fire. Gunshots erupted from every direction. Bullets ripped through the smoke. The armored doors absorbed the first wave, but the sound alone made Emily flinch. Marcus opened a hidden compartment beneath his seat. Inside were 2 pistols and a compact rifle. He handed nothing to Emily. Instead, he looked directly into her eyes. "Stay inside. You'll die out there. I'll die faster if I stay in here." Without another word, he stepped into the gunfire. His bodyguards immediately formed a defensive line. The attackers fired from rooftops, abandoned vehicles, and shattered warehouse windows. Whoever planned the ambush knew exactly where the convoy would stop. Emily watched through the cracked windshield. This wasn't random. Someone had expected them. Her breathing slowed. She forced herself to ignore the chaos outside. Instead, she looked around the warehouse entrance. 3 delivery trucks, 2 abandoned, 1 still running. Its engine vibrations barely shook the pavement. She narrowed her eyes. Nobody leaves an escape vehicle running unless someone plans to use it. She grabbed the radio lying on the seat. "Marcus!" Static. Then his voice. "What?" "The truck." "What truck?" "The blue delivery truck near the east loading dock." A short pause. "It's still running." Marcus immediately turned toward it. At that exact moment, the rear cargo door burst open. Daniel jumped from the truck with Rachel close behind him. They weren't trapped. They were escaping. Marcus raised his weapon, but Emily shouted before he could fire. "Don't shoot." Marcus hesitated for a fraction of a second. It was enough. Daniel disappeared behind a row of shipping containers. Rachel followed. Marcus lowered the rifle just slightly. Not because he trusted them, because he trusted Emily's instincts. For the first time, she wasn't just the reason he was fighting. She had become the reason he changed his decision.